Welcome to Denbury. This is the indoor terminus station of the Great Western Railway Gauge 1 electric garden line, as can be seen on the Part 1 and Part 2 YouTube films under that title. I started building this station in 2002. The project was to endeavour to show that Gauge 1 could be used to create a detailed model layout as good as any of the smaller scales. I based my model on a predominantly Great Western Railway typical semi-rural setting of the 1930s to 1940s, and my website www.gauge1layout.com tells the full story of its creation, and I hope will inspire others to model in Gauge 1. As a film, I will highlight certain aspects and try to describe the scene as we go on our tour. Apart from the track and point work, all platform, accessories, scenery, etc. is predominantly scratch built. Most stock is also scratch built, some from Brass Etch kits, in particular the superb bridge and water column which are available from Barrett Engineering, and some refurbished second-hand items, and as with the outside garden railway, it is a one-man creation. All electronic controls are by all components on both railways, indoors and out, and the sound is from an RAS system. You will see film of prototypical train operation as well as run-by tours of the platforms, etc. Enjoy. I thought it would be a good thing to start with the control area. On the left is the panel which controls all the points, and the switch bank in front, which are XGPO switches with a center off and a left or right movement. To the right of that is the complete diagram of the layout plus all the section switches, and this way it's very easy to actually isolate locomotives and run the rest of the line as I wish. To the right of that again you'll see some small TV monitors which are rigged up to cameras which cover the areas to the right through the tunnel and beyond, linking on to the outside garden railway, that I can't see from this position. Coming now to the layout itself, I'll just walk along and just describe things as I go. I try to be as realistic as possible with the scenery, and you'll see all the green banking. Most of the animals are from the plastic toy range, usually from the children's toy farm range, and they're very effective in Gauge 1. The trees are made by me from pieces taken out the garden, wire all lashed up together, and then flock etc. is glued on, and then the whole thing is sprayed with ladies' hairspray and different coloured paints to keep it all in place. The waterfall is a nice simulation, and it's just built of rubbish really. The walls are actually plasticine walls and just scribed, and I think they look very realistic. Again, we're coming to more scenery with more stock, and you'll see the squire there with his shotgun looking down at the railway, and a very famous advert which you would see in many fields in the 20s and 30s, Hall's Distemper. And then coming along again over the wall, we've got a tree fallen down, and we've got a recovery crew there with Shire horses and a timber dolly, and they look as though they're very industrious. Note on the Shire horses all the chains are correctly placed as they would be for hauling heavy stuff like that. Beyond that we've got the level crossing and the access to the village. Moving along to the left, we then have our signal box, which is a resin based kit, and is illuminated inside and fully fitted with all the levers and the signalman's table and everything else. Another nice tree in the foreground, and moving along to the left you see a couple of the signals which are fully operational, and the background now you will see, which comes at the back of the station, is completely covered in adverts. This was something you saw in the 20s and 30s, that every spare space on stations, every spare wall, bridge, canopy, everything was covered with an advert. It was a way of earning revenue for the railway. Then we come to the Denbury station sign, and the passengers waiting there for trains from numbers 1 and 2 platforms. Moving carefully along, you'll see that the figures show a variety of ordinary people, servicemen, nuns, policemen, and the bridge that's coming up is actually from an etch kit supplied by Barrett Engineering. Now, when supplied, the steps both came down on the same side, and I had to modify this kit and alter it to fit this layout, as I wanted the stairs to run opposite ways. Looking at the main station building, which again is a scratch built item, and the passengers there patiently waiting for the next train to arrive. Moving along once more, we come to the engine shed, which is a typical engine shed of the period, and the 3 chimneys on the top are actually Evo-Stik caps from tubes of Evo-Stik, which are a very good representation of 1920s engine shed chimneys. As we go back along the railway now, I'll point out other features of interest, and one thing you'll notice in the foreground, we have working ground signals for this end of the layout, and leading on to the end of platform 3 here, we have a local train waiting, unloading and loading, and you can see a better picture of the bridge from here. And moving along again, we've got the goods depot, and you'll see all the items on the platform there, which are being left for people to collect later on or to load onto the next wagon in. And then beyond the big bracket overhead signal, you'll see that the crossing has been put out of commission by a white cross on the signal itself, which is prototype practice for the time, and there's an engineering gang working on the crossing itself, with the red flagman this end and the green flagman at the other end, and they've both got interchangeable flags, so we can alter that as and when we need to. In the foreground now we have a yard with a crane that was originally made for 7mm railway, not a 10mm railway, and I modified it so as it's quite acceptable in this scale. Down there again we've got a policeman who's found 2 children wandering about on the railway in the yard, and has stopped to have a chat with them. And beyond that, the traction engine stored in the yard, and a man just about to start some maintenance on it. An old grounded Southern Railway guards van, which is being put to other use, and then the traditional coal office, which you would have had on any station, and then back to the coal bunkering facility, where local men are bagging up the coal for different coal merchants. And working along, we come to the end of the sidings, another water column for locomotives that sit here in this area waiting to go back onto the main line and pull away trains that have come in. So this would be used as a local siding as well. Coming along, you'll see that all the posts are laid out for another fence to be put this side of the little bridge there, to be erected the same as the one on the far side of it. This is actual brass rail, all cut down, drilled and ready for it to pass the wires through. Right in front of us now we've got a sawmill, which is a simulation copy of one that I lived next door to for 32 years when I worked as a countryside ranger, and being an ex-excavator operator in the RAF as well, very familiar with rigging, so I thought it would be very nice to have a crane involved on this as well. Finally, coming back to the roof of the sawmill, it's in pretty poor state, so I've got a working party up there trying to fix at least some of the leaks before they get on with repairing some of the the glazing. And down underneath there you'll see at the entrance to the tunnels is a blanked off tunnel that you will see anywhere now on railways, but that one's only just had the track lifted and is put in there as a nice feature at the end of the layout.